but we're using the same setup. It is going to be a 110 lap race, and tonight I actually have someone up here with me. It's Sam, who was race control last week. Hopefully we have a much cleaner race so he can help me so my throat doesn't get dry.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I needed to lie down after last week, I'm pretty sure. I'm just hoping it's not the same this week.
Alright, well, I guess I'll do what I did last week for all the viewers. Let's go ahead and run some laps around.
Yeah, I'll follow you while you're doing that.
Ooh, this might be some perfect timing. Let's see if we can catch the pack here. We will not.
And I believe you can go full throttle around here, right, Forrest?
All the way around, all the way through the fuel run. I think the fuel run is about the same as our fuel run was at Las Vegas Tuesday night, about 27 laps.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think we run, what, 10% fuel tank on these because they have such a huge tank?
Oh yeah, because if you fill it right to the top, you're going to be in there for hours.
It's probably great for endurance racing. It's not very tight. I haven't been behind anybody, so this is the first time I'm actually behind a car. I'm behind Layla here, well, one of your teammates, I believe.
Oh yeah, Layla, she's driving the 98. Doesn't have a phenomenal paint scheme yet, but I am working on one for her, so by next week hopefully she'll have one. It'll be all looking nice like Jason is with his red machine.
23.12.
Yeah.
I just want to point out my little bump on the backstretch gave me a 4X. She bumped me earlier, and the person who gets the bump doesn't get an X. It's the person who delivers it. So maybe that'll encourage people to stay off that back end a little bit more.
And Iowa is a very bumpy track as it is, so it's difficult to kind of keep it straight with all the bumps going around the corners.
It's not too bad at this track like it was at Dover. Dover was a little bit more difficult because there was no flat spot. This one, the backstretch, is actually a little flatter, so it's easier to get away with it. But I'm trying to do what I do in the Aero 5s, where I get within about an inch and just kind of sit there and use like kind of the aero push.
Yeah, you showed that on Sunday when you pushed Joe to the end.
Well, that was the DW12s. It's a little bit more difficult in the DW12s. I was actually physically bumping him.
Clear outside. Low one on the bottom. 22.621. Stay at the bottom, stay at the bottom.
Layla just veered down into Tyler there. She intentionally went down into him, like she went to the apron.
She did tell me that's how she likes to fit in during hot laps though, so I'm not surprised there.
Alright, so I'm going to see if I can get this car to react a little differently, see how it does on the apron. Because I had to avoid a wreck earlier in the hour-long practice, and I was able to ride the apron, which you can kind of do it. It got a little loose, but let's see what it does in 3 and 4 where I had to avoid before. Full throttle, no problem, and I'm back up on the track.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure because I did that in that hour-long practice. They were wrecking in 3 and 4. I rode the apron all the way around, full throttle, never lifted, made it back out, and still ran a 22.7, I think it was, which isn't fast unless compared to the guys in the draft who are running down in the 21s.
It makes me glad that we don't have the no apron rule in effect, because people could use that to their advantage.
Stay high, stay high. 22.756.
Yeah, you can just kind of do this. And then that. That was pretty fun. Didn't expect him to slow like that.
I've got you on cockpit view right now, and some poo came out when that happened.
Because you felt like you were actually in it?
Yeah,
Well,
I felt like a spectator right now.
We'll turn a few more laps. Put it on, what is it, not gyro, gearbox, I think? It's one where you're kind of sitting up above the driver's head.
Yeah.
I think it's a couple ahead of gyro on the list. I think that one's a better camera angle. Alright, and now it's time. Oh, I gotta make another lap because I got cars on the inside. So once I have an opening, I'm going to show how to enter the pits. So the rule, and correct me if any of this is wrong, Sam. So basically, our normal rule for everybody watching, calling it before the exit of 2. So I'm going to go ahead and call that, and then get down below the apron, and I'm going to say these yellow markers. So I want to be down below those yellow lines there, and just kind of coast on in. It does get a little tight and a little tricky, so you want to. And then I think you have to be down to 40 before you hit the is it the water barrels or is it the commitment line?
I'd say it's the line.
Well, I didn't get dinged. I probably should have then.
That was a good demonstration of how to pit in there. That's how it should be done.
And I passed my pit stall.
It's a very difficult pit road though because it's curved all the way around.
Yeah, it pretty much is just like a 1/10 of a mile longer than Richmond, so it's almost identical.
So we've got people asking when the broadcast starts. I'll just have to remind them that we've already started. So, but that was people on the track, not people in the chat. So
It is the roll bar, by the way. That's the camera angle.
oh,
It puts you right on. It puts you pretty much on the driver's head in the Indy cars, and that's the one that I like to use because you get it makes it feel like you're on. It's an actual TV angle, so. Whereas the cockpit technically isn't a TV angle. Whoa, he got loose there. And something for you to watch out, keep an eye on, Sam, is both of the Glenn brothers have, the Glenn guys, father and son, have said that they've had occasional hitches in the internet. It hasn't been anything serious. They blink once and they're stable for several laps at least. But just something to keep an eye on, that they are aware that there is something causing them to blink every so often and not at the same time, so.
yeah, I noticed that last week when they were racing. I noticed Ethan was having a few connection issues, and they were sporadic, but they were very violent when they did happen. So I'll be keeping an eye on that.
It is interesting, though, that YouTube has now pretty much turned into YouTube Gaming. They completely took the layout from that and applied it to the main YouTube, and everyone's wondering where did this come from. So for those that are watching the broadcast and don't know why it looks different, it's because they basically took YouTube Gaming's layout and applied it to the rest of YouTube.
Yeah, I like the new YouTube.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I used YouTube Gaming for a long time, so it's nothing that I'm not used to. And as y'all can see up in the upper left corner, we are ticking down to the end of practice here, which is why I got off the track. And that looked like Johnny, who went for a ride there on the inside of 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's very smooth to run around here, but it's very unforgiving if you make a mistake. That's the balancing thing for it.
Another good thing with you being up here is if I get a driver wrong, you can correct me. Last week it took me a while to figure out who some of the drivers were because I didn't know who.
Well, some of the new drivers that are in here now that you probably don't know has got Ben Walton.
I'm familiar with him.
Vincent Scatina.
He was here last week. There's no one new that I wasn't here last week or in a session that I was in for before this season began. That was the first time I've seen them both blink at the same time.
Oh, I wasn't live. I wasn't paying attention. I'm just getting ready to do the whole race control thing. But yeah, it's going to be a fun race. Not so many competitors this week as we did last week, so it should be, in theory, be a lot cleaner.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Ronnie's here. Who is our current points leader at the moment? Because you've been the one that's been posting it for everybody to see in the group.
Jason Colburn. He currently has He currently
A
has
huge
a
lead.
3-point lead over Dave Daniel, who sits
Who's,
in second.
and is not in this session, whereas
Yeah,
Jason is. So
Dave Daniel usually connects at the last minute, so we'll give it a chance.
Alright, so he has a 43-point lead. This is race number 12. You can gain at most 39 points, or 41 or 42 with all the bonus points. But that requires a full session to be up. So that'll be pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Jason's actually won a race this year, but he's actually been consistently here and consistently running at the front, which is why he's actually managed to gain such a big gap over everybody. So
He's taken the Elliott Sadler method.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which, for those that aren't aware, in the Xfinity Series, Elliott Sadler has not won a race all season, and yet he has about a 300-point advantage over the cut line to make it into the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. And there's 6 winners, and there's 6 spots open, and he has a 300-point advantage with 2 races left. I believe tomorrow night and then next Friday night. Wait, no, Saturday night, because it's Labor Day weekend.
That's just Elliott Sadler showing his experience, though, because he's been around a long time.
Yeah, but he's also got a good ride with JRM. And honestly, I think that's what Jason's doing too. He's showing that he can stay up there at the front.
I don't know, because the last couple of weeks he's not had the best of luck. I mean, he keeps getting caught up in other people's wrecks. I mean, that happened on Tuesday as well. During the IRO5 race, he got caught up in those melees at the beginning, which put him 3 laps down along with me. So he's not had the best of luck lately. Hopefully he can turn it around tonight.
I haven't had 2 back-to-back clean races in the league ever. I think I have like a handful of clean races ever entering this season. And the DW12 race Sunday and the IRO5 race this past Tuesday were both clean. I don't know how, because I went through wrecks multiple times.
I think the start to this season has probably got to be my worst ever. I'm thinking it's down to the number 10 on my car. I might have to change that number. I'm having Danica luck right now.
I always associate her with number 7 because of IndyCar and Xfinity. And we're driving Xfinity cars, so you should use her IndyCar number instead.
No, that's KP that's got her number. So yeah, that's probably why he's having so much bad luck as well.
No, Tuesday he was number 12, so that might have just been the fact that he didn't have his number.
Yeah, somebody took his number, which was unfortunate, but
it was someone who was allowed to be in practices, but not the race, as far as I have been told. And they joined into the session before he did, so it took, and they didn't have a number assigned to them in the league, so it took their preferred number for the car and gave it to him. And because he hadn't joined in, it hadn't reserved the number for him. And as we look at the times trickling in here, it's 22:65 seems to be the fastest lap so far. Who else than our Tuesday winner, Chris Parkman? Punisher is back, guys. Punisher's back.
yeah, there's no surprise he's up there. But he drove a dominant race on Tuesday. Nobody could catch him. I think KP came the closest until that incident happened with Tyler Graff. But yeah, 111 laps he led on Tuesday, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down tonight.
For those that are watching the broadcast, do not post any links or any ads to your channels. They will be immediately removed and you will be blocked. Time for the driver's meeting yet?
About half a minute. When it gets to 5 minutes, I'd say switch the voice chat on and then do it that way.
Did I actually talk in the game?
Yeah, she did.
I'm using push to talk on my wheel, and they're right beside each other. Well, I should be able to hear now. Is that naughty naughty to our spammer or to me?
Spammer. We had that on. I think we had it on
Good luck tonight, guys.
Monday as
I really have a
well,
whole lot to say other than that. Good luck, have fun.
but that was for a different channel. So.
Okay, guys. Good field tonight. Good to see you all out there. Usual rules apply. No flaming, no arguing race control. No scrubbing tyres. Pit entrance will be between turns 3 and 4. And entrance to exit off the track towards pit road on the backstretch. Call your pits before turn 1 because of how short the track is. Yeah, and at no point should anybody touch the apron unless it's avoiding a wreck or exiting pit road.
Please correct your pit entrance. You said in the middle of 3 and 4, not entrance of 3.
Yeah, yeah, just enter pits on the like at the end of backstretch as you're entering turn 3. So it's just normal rules. The rules apply. Some of the IndyCar drivers know this. So yeah. Other than that, there's not really much else to say. Just have a good race and keep it safe out there.
Thanks for adding that, Forrest. My brain's still fuzzy from Tuesday. Or from Sunday. So yeah, Forrest, long race ahead of us then.
Oh yeah, well, hopefully it'll go quicker than last week. Lap times look about the same as they did last week at Dover. I think we're a couple seconds quicker because the track is shorter. But it's pretty much the exact same. Looks like we're going to have a pretty veteran starting order here. The first 6 drivers, or 5 of the first 6, all race on Tuesdays and Sundays. Oop.
Actually, it's the top 6 that race on Tuesdays and Sundays because
Mike Erder doesn't do it very often. All the others are full time.
He's part time, but he yeah. If you know, I know what you mean. But yeah, we've got Partman, Tyler Vickery, Mike Erter, Mike Whitaker, Ronnie Osmer, Tyler Graff, Vincent Scatina, Nate Dean, Ethan Glenn, and Jason Colburn in your top 10.
With Ben Walton Boglin, the father of Ethan Glenn, Chadwick Pierce II, Robert Lacovara, David Llewellyn, Michael Hoot Baker, Johnny Antonucci, and then Alex Green, Ronald McManus, Layla Wilson, and Eric Roberts, and David Bowden, because you ignore myself and Sam and those that did not qualify.
Yeah, because we're up here. But yeah, good to see David Bowden back out there again tonight. I mean, he's missed a few races. I mean, he was Jason Colburn's closest challenger up until recently, and missed a few races, and he's basically dropped down the table like a stone, which is unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can get a few points back and get back up there.
Yeah, for those wondering, there is no playoff in this series. This is strictly you do what you can in the 15 races, and that's that. It's like the old point systems in most racing series. You just go.
Yeah, and the way Jason Colburn's got his advantage at the moment, he's literally got a race win over Dave Daniel, who's sitting in second in the standings, and it looks set to extend that tonight with Dave Daniel not taking part tonight. So I think we can actually call Jason Colburn a champion-elect at this point, seeing as there's only 3 races left after tonight. And yeah, everybody's so far behind.
I would say not yet, because we never know what might happen. He might have to miss 2 races, and there goes his points lead. So it all depends on what happens. And here we are. We're about to start gridding up, and the fun is about to begin.
Yeah.
For those wanting to know the information on this track, it is a .8. Technically, it's a .88. Don't know why this says .89. 4 total turns as always for an oval. We're running at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's in Newton, Iowa. I did not know the name of the city. Last week, for those who are curious, we had, I think, out of the 125 laps, 61 laps under caution, which is why, and actually I didn't cue my mic for OBS, so it didn't pick up on broadcast. I asked the drivers, and this is why Sam thanked me, was basically to have a little bit more situational awareness and some patience, because we didn't have it last week, and I was trying to remind them, please have it this week, because we don't want to have another 2-hour race that's longer than our official series, which is pretty embarrassing when it's half the length that they run.
Hence why you had such a dry throat and I needed to lie down afterwards.
And you can kind of still hear my throat. It still hasn't recovered. Jason's jumping the gun on his number there, it looks.
Yeah, I might need to have a word with him after tonight.
Well, we just need to.
He is my teammate, so I will be. I'll talk to him about that.
Well, in the series, I think Martin Miller didn't take it, because I think he probably ended up leaving. I think, because I haven't seen him, but we need to assign it to someone who doesn't run races, just so no one can get it unless the past champion wants it. So.
Yeah, and we did the DW12 champion and the IRO5 champion from last season didn't take the number 1 either, so we literally do not have a number 1 driver in the all 3 leagues right now, so it's strange.
I think we should give Tony that, since he's not racing, so that way no one can hop in and grab the number 1.
Yeah, maybe.
We need to have basically alternates available so that we know that it's not going to happen.
You know what? I might take that number because I'm only race control anyway, so. And Tony does race in the Mazdas, so.
Oh yeah, I was thinking me too, and just one of us two. Alright, so it's basically whenever the pace car starts pulling off, we'll have Chris, as he has been nicknamed by our, as we jokingly call him, fearless leader Alex Green, the Punisher. Because one of his paint schemes actually used the Punisher's skull logo, which fits kind of well actually with his monster scheme he has there. As we see him pulling them off the pits here, it's a pretty nice sized field we have tonight. We have 23 cars out of a 21 cars out of a possible 22. That are out there tonight, because Ben Walton has not fielded, and we are not out there, so we have to take 3 off the 24. And here we go. Oh wait, this is less than a mile, so we'll have 2 pace laps. Almost forgot. So in this series, under caution, the leader is able to pick his starting lane after the on any restart, but not the initial start, correct?
Yeah, but so far this season, we've not seen that happen so far. So
there's only been
the lead is always opting for the inside line because obviously that's the favourable line on most tracks. But
there was only one track we ran in the off season for this series, that 1 week, where the leader would have been favourable to choose the outside, and I can't remember what it was, but it was you could run like I think a 10-second lap pretty much. It wasn't even not even a quarter mile, I don't think. Maybe it was 3/8. I don't know. It was really, really short, and the outside was actually the faster way.
Yeah, Iowa's always been famous for having that fast outside line, so it'll be interesting to see how P2 gets off the line this time.
Well, I know from practice that outside line will not run well because these cars stick to that yellow line once the tires warm up after a lap. And here we go. The green flag is out. And they hit the hammer, and they are off. Here we go for 110 laps from Iowa Speedway.
And as predicted, a very dominant start from Chris Parkman, but long race ahead. So
I'm starting to think we might have to come up with a rule similar to what NASCAR is doing, where we limit appearances, because what's called in NASCAR the Kyle Busch rule, we might need it for people like Chris Parkman and Ronnie Osmer, who seem to dominate these races. Because look who's on the outside of P2 right now. It's Ronnie Osmer.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Whitaker's there as well, so got some very strong runners at the front there already, and
Who's this slow car coming up into turn 1? That looks like that's Ben Walton. Looks like he was doing a pit start for this race. That's what he was doing. It wasn't that he wasn't starting. He was just waiting until he could start. And there's the yellow flag. Oh, yeah, there's a big one. And did who...
I need to review this.
And yeah, there he is. Alex Green is involved in that one. He has had a really bad string of luck. So here we are, we're watching Alex Green as they cross the start finish line going into 1 and 2, and in the middle of doing replay I saw him ramping off the front of a car, so we know it's not him. It looks like, on my end, Layla and Johnny Antonucci, where Layla might have just gotten to the back of Johnny a little bit there, coming off of 2.
Yeah, Layla got into the back of Johnny there.
Well, at least we have fast repairs. That'll help Alex out a lot. And the focus back on our leaders there as they're pacing around the track. I really hope that's not a sign of what's to come, I'll be honest.
I'm pretty sure it'll settle down eventually, but it was just one of those things. I mean, it was only the slightest of contact between Johnny and Layla, so...
I want to point out that most of the cautions last week were by just the slightest bit of contact to the back end, just like that. And granted, we do have a smaller field this week, but still, it's the same situation. These cars don't like to get bumped.
No, they do not.
And of course, that one, yeah, it allowed Alex to use Johnny as a springboard to go flying into the air. He went airborne about quarter of the backstretch.
Everybody managing to stay on the lead lap except for Layla, I think, so...
It looks like Robert Lacavara is a lap down as well, but he might... But if he wasn't involved in that, then he gets the wave around.
Yeah, so it's just Bob and Layla that are laps down. Alice Green, Johnny Antonucci, and whoever else was involved were actually able to stay on the lead lap, so that's not too bad.
And Ben Walton, who stayed out and was going to fall a lap down if we had stayed green for about 5 or 6 laps, is now in 15th on the lead lap.
Yeah, he got the lucky dog, so...
No, he didn't. He wasn't even a lap down. He was still on the lead lap.
Oh, wow. So that's a bit of good luck for him then.
Yeah, but they were just approaching him. I saw him entering turn 1 as they came off turn 4, and I know that these cars suck up quick. So as soon, I mean, and plus Chris Parkman's got a boost from the guy behind him. So as soon as it probably would have been 2 laps, they would have caught him, and then he would have been in dust in the wind.
Oh yeah, so that caution came out at the most opportune time possible.
Oh yeah, I think he was playing off of what happened last week, hoping that the same thing would happen, and he got lucky. People say it never involves luck, it's all skill. That was all luck. You don't know when the cautions are going to fall, so how are you going to plan around it? It's one of those things. They've been doing a lot of documentaries on racing teams lately, and the one constant thing I always hear from the crew chief, or the equivalent of it in any of the motorsports that they've interviewed, is you can make a race strategy, but the one thing you can never plan around is when the yellow flags are going to fall. You can basically just have something ready and say, okay, if the caution flag falls within this window, we do this. If it doesn't, we do this, and hope that another caution doesn't come out right after.
Well, if last week's anything to go by, then they fall quite regularly, and then you're pretty much okay if in some situations, but not so good if in other situations.
Well, there was last season in our IRL5s and DW12s where first half of the season races, there were cautions all over the place. Now they weren't like last week at Dover where half the race was under yellow, but we had a fair number of them. And in the whole second half of the season for both series, they were clean as can be. And we are on 1 to green, by the way, if they haven't called it for you.
Yeah.
And you go into a race, you're like, oh, the last time we were here, we had 10 cautions. And then so some people made up plans thinking we're going to have 10 cautions or close to it. And we had 1 or 2. And it just completely threw off everyone's plan because they didn't plan for that few cautions to come out. As here we are coming through the corner. Thankfully, this is a shorter race as far as laps, so there is that.
Yeah, I just had to shout at the 19 to tighten it up because he was way back just a second ago.
And here we go, and they hit, and there goes Parkman hitting it. And he waits until the green flag drops. I've noticed he's been doing that a lot lately, and he gets him a good start because people aren't expecting that, and so they back off a little bit. Green flag falls, and he's in the air, well, not literally, of course. As we see Ronnie Osmer hang. Go ahead.
Moving up to second as well.
Yeah, I see that. Didn't recognize the paint. He's trying to get that outside to work early, and he's not able to get it. Mike Erder trying to give him some push. Ronnie Osmer just left him to dry. There goes Erder right up on the grass bumper. Gives him a push going into 1, but because of these cars being so good at sticking to the yellow line, they just lost all momentum. And
we got the points lead again in the mix as well. Now he's up into the top 6 now.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to point out is for those who watched Tuesday's broadcast, you would notice that Tony probably said a lot. I haven't watched it yet, but you might have noticed a lot of cars spun on the because they tapped the apron. These cars, the apron's still off limits, but you can still tap it and you'll be fine. You won't immediately go spinning like we were at Las Vegas in those IR5s.
Yeah, there was some sort of weird glitch on that backstretch on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was making cars spin. I mean,
well,
even I fell victim to that at one point, but then again, I was falling victim to everything.
Well, my little slide was because I had about 35, 40, almost 40 laps on those tires. So I was trying to do a double stint on them when in practice I said it probably would not be a good idea to. I still did it anyway, knowing that was my best bet to get a good finish, and I got a good finish. Despite the fact that I did have to slide from turn 2 all the way to about almost turn 3.
Oh, wow.
As we see Ronnie Osmer actually able to maintain it on the outside. That looks like Layla Wilson coming off pit road there, and they are all able to get around her before she reaches a turn so she can enter the track safely. And the outside's starting to come in a little bit better as Ronnie's able to at least hold position. He's not slipping back like Tyler did just a few laps back.
He's got support from Mike Erter and Ethan Glenn, though.
Well, that was
Tyler Vickery.
That was the thing. Tyler had support, but they just kept falling backwards. I think what it is Ronnie knows how to use the side draft with these cars so well, whereas Tyler doesn't have I don't think has as much experience. Ronnie, of course, also has real life experience with bigger cars, where Tyler is just karts. So I think that helps a lot too, is knowing how aero affects the larger vehicles, whereas Tyler has to deal with just the little tiny ones.
Oh, the field's stacking up a bit at the front there. It was almost disaster.
Yeah, I think that's what did a lot of people in at Dover's, because these cars, when you get the draft, you just suck up to their back end.
Layla having more issues. She's in pit road again.
They are 3 wide. Mike Erder, Ethan Glenn, and I can't tell who's on the inside. And they settle it, but Tyler Graff almost comes up into the left front of Ethan Glenn there. He got a little tight going into 3. And I will.
Screen and Mike Erter bagging wheels then.
Yeah, I've noted. Well, yeah, the inside line wasn't giving Alex any room either. They were coming up towards him, which is one thing the inside has to keep in mind. Is you can hug that yellow line, and if they touch the apron, you're not gonna ding them with anything. It's driving on the apron that you're gonna ding them with.
Yeah, and Alex Green just got one hell of a speed boost that got him past Erter.
Well, he was on the inside of him. You get if they don't have help, you're going to go flying right by him like it's nothing.
I think it was a combination of that and the cars on the bottom line as well. He was just like getting two helpings of side draft. So
I don't know what Alex was thinking there. He just opened up his inside and just let someone in and almost tried to come back down, and almost caused a wreck. But he's doing pretty good up there right now. Man, this is... And by the way, halfway through 1 and 2, Ronnie Osmer actually gained on Chris Parkman on the outside. So the outside line is actually coming in a lot up there as we see him kind of fan out.
He's got Ethan Glenn pushing the daylights out of him. He's got Tyler Vickery behind him as well.
He was at about halfway. He was about a car length back on Chris Parkman there, like from the front to the midpoint.
Alex is making a move again. He's just pushed his way through the middle. Wow, he's living dangerously today, but he's making it work.
Yeah, he didn't race Tuesday because he's stepping out of those cars for now, and this is just racing for fun for him. So when he races just for fun and not for any accolades, he races a lot more. What's the word? Peacefully, I guess you could say. He doesn't stress about his moves, about his strategies. He just goes out and runs laps. As he looks to the outside of Ronnie Osmer. He goes up there, going down into turn 1, which leaves Ronnie Osmer with nobody, but Alex Ring comes back down. I don't think Alex realizes if he gives Ronnie a push and Ethan Glenn keeps pushing him, they'll get up there and they can get past Parkman in the lead, who, by the way, has led every lap so far.
I kind of feel bad for Jason Colburn because he's stuck on that bottom line with everybody all around him. He can't make any moves or any kind. He's just sitting there hoping that Parkman will make a mistake, but knowing Chris Parkman, he never makes mistakes.
Well, if I was Jason Colburn right now, being the points leader, I would be perfectly content to be behind the guy who has dominated one of our 2 series. I would be perfectly content right there because following him, I would know I'd be able to keep my position if I just kept doing what he was doing.
And that's the thing, because Colburn is actually dominating this series, so it's great to see. It's got to be great. It's great to see 2 of the great dominators in 2 leagues just at the front there, battling it out.
Yeah, we didn't have a real dominator last season for these cars in the premiere of it. Martin Miller won it, but he was in a battle with Ronnie, I believe, and it came down to the last race, and all he had to do was start the last race, and he won the championship. But still, it came down to the last race. Whereas this one, Jason, all he has to do is just keep attending the races. He doesn't actually have to finish well right now.
And that's what I mean. But he's still got that competitive spirit. He's still running at the front there. So,
well, he's wanting to prove he belongs, and that's what all the new guys should be doing. Because look at all of our veterans that are in there. I mean, Alex might not be racing the IR5s and DR12s now, but he's still. I mean, he's the owner. He's the one who's been one of the few who have been here since the beginning, alongside myself, you, Mike Whitaker, Tony Trapasso, all considered part of the original group. And then you have Chris Parkman as well. I mean, and these guys are running well right there with these guys and showing what they're worth.
Well, I wouldn't say I've been here since the start because I joined at the end of season 1, I think it was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of a guy who left. He was an Australian, sorry. I knew he wasn't American. And that's what I knew. As we see, Ronnie, wow, he was actually door to door with Chris Parkman. He could have probably reached over and touched. Like Chris Parkman and Ronnie could have grabbed hands if they could physically reach their hands out.
For a split second, then we had 3 wide for the lead as well. So.
Yeah, because of Alex forcing it to the outside repeatedly. He really wants to get that. Yeah, he really wants to get that third line going. Of course, he likes that Daytona, that Talladega style racing. That's why he's having fun with this.
We've got people going down pit road now.
Yeah, they have been out there for 30 laps, and the fuel window is about 27, 28. So
we've got Hartman calling his pits as well now.
And there he goes, diving down. And Alex Ring, because he was involved in that last wreck, he actually can stay out there a little bit longer. But my guess is he'll probably go down with everybody.
Made that outside line work and passed Jason Colburn.
And there's a spin. Jason Colburn gave him a bump. No yellow though.
Keep it down there, keep it down. That's it. It stays green for now, but
just for the people at home that are probably wondering, because they probably know that there are penalties associated with causing a caution, would that be something that and now that won't be happening here because we don't have a committee for this series, that in the official series would be worthy of a caution. I mean, worthy of penalty.
I just had to tell Ronnie to keep it down there because of cars going driving around.
I was talking about towards Jason Colburn, and like in the main series, that would normally be a penalty post race, right? Because it didn't cause a caution.
Yeah, the competition committee doesn't really scrutinise these the Pro Masters as much. We just watch them from. As most of the competition committee are in the race session anyway, so we can see what's going on.
Yeah, it's basically to assess them. But I mean, in the official series, that normally would be post-race penalty. So probably something he should be told. Be careful of that in the future. We know he cut you off, but you still can't get into the back of him like that.
You know what? This is the first time all season I've actually seen competitive green flag pit stops.
Oh wow, really? It's really been that bad all year. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm glad I wasn't able to broadcast the races there. There goes Alex. Did he call it?
Yeah, he called it.
And who will our leader be? It looks like Tyler. Oh, he's on pit road right now. Never mind. Mike Erder is the one who it looks like might be in the lead.
No, it's Johnny Antonucci.
Johnny's gonna have to pit soon. He has that 30 laps on his fuel stint.
I'll give that lead to Jason Colburn then, because he's posted as the leader right now. Behind, no, give that to Parkman.
I've got Mike Erder, who's ahead, 2 positions ahead of Chris Parkman.
Oh.
And has pit. He actually pit a lap after Parkman did. A lap before, excuse me.
I can't wait till I get my new computer because I can get ATVO and everything like that, so I can keep up to date with you guys.
Well, if you use some racing apps, that'd probably be good too.
Yeah, that's true. That too.
But ATVO is sometimes good, sometimes bad. I can't do the neat thing like the results page that Tony does, because it shows it for the current session and not like the previous session, so it would show us at the top because we didn't qualify, even though we didn't qualify. And right now, Johnny Antonucci just went down pit road. David Bowden is down pit road, and wait a minute, Alex Green is in the lead, and David Bowden right there with him. David Bowden and Alex Green came out in the lead. That paid off for him, and Chris Parkman fell back to... how far back is he? I'm waiting for it to catch up right now.
That is rare to see Chris Parkman get jumped like that in pit road.
Yeah, okay, yeah, he's a second back from them. He was in the lead and is now a second back. You can see him back there, the 5th car in line, but he's going to be right there with the leaders anyway, so it didn't hurt him too bad because of how much of a suck-up these cars have. As you can see,
Alex Green has got lap traffic to deal with now as well, so got Chadwick Pierce on the outside. He's actually staying out of the way, thankfully, so
he might be a new name to the leagues with this in this season. Not now at this point.
This last season as well.
Oh, he did. He just isn't in the big cars. But yeah, I mean, he may not be in the big cars, but he definitely knows how to race with us, and he's very good about it. So I know that there are people who, if he wanted to, they would pick him up for their team in the big cars. As right now, Alex is given a lot of room on that inside.
And like you said, that inside line works the best around here with these cars, so
yeah, I was
a very big advantage right now.
Yeah, in the practice session, I had Layla behind me at one point in the hour-long one, not this one, not in the one before this race. I was actually hugging the yellow line all the way around the track, not doing what Alex is doing there, like where he kind of comes off and runs half a lane up. I was running all the way on that yellow line for the whole fuel run, and then I would start. Of course, I was running till the thing was empty, so it would start sputtering, and then I would lose it. But I mean, I could hug that yellow line all the way around the track.
And there goes Parkman on the outside being helped by David Llewellyn.
Which one's Llewellyn?
It's the Mercedes paint scheme.
The gray one? The gray and black? Okay. He's normally in a teal, so it's kind of, or turquoise, whatever color, and it's throwing me off that he's not.
Yeah.
Ooh, look, did David Bowden and Chris Parkman have a little contact there?
It looked like Parkman was pinching Bowden down slightly, which was unusual for him.
Yeah, he's pinching him down a little bit, and Bowden's coming up a little bit in the corner, so they're kind of crossing over in each other. But Parkman is... Yeah, Parkman is coming down below the dotted line, trying to get a little bit of that side draft to get a little bit boost. Which is why he's so good in the IRO 5s. That works really well in those cars.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't look like David Llewellyn is giving Parkman a lot of help because he's not exactly in line with him.
No, he's not. I think it's strictly Parkman using that side draft off of David Bowden. I wonder what... Yeah, I'm wondering what it would be like if we didn't have that contact that didn't draw the caution. Wonder what the pit stops would have come out to be. And oh, David Bowden almost got into the back of Alex there going by the line. Yeah, Alex, I think, came off the corner and had to let up just a little bit so he didn't get into Parkman, because Parkman had his nose just a little bit in there, because Bowden almost got into the back of Alex, and as you said, it went 3 wide for the lead for a split second.
Yeah, that would have ended badly.
Is that Nate Dean in the like yellow and black car there?
Caution.
Oh, I hear it.
Whenever you can,
Look, is it in 3 and 4? Ronald McManus and Eric Roberts, it looks like. Here we are coming off turn 2. He has Ronnie Osmer just suddenly turned to the left, so we're going to have to hop on Ronnie for that. He got a bump from, that looked like Tyler Graff. Was that?
So I'm having camera issues right now, so I'll be back with you in a second.
So here we are running around the track, going through the front straightaway. Tyler Graff behind Ronnie Osmer, with Ronald McManus and Eric Roberts on the inside. They come off turn 2, going down the backstretch. Tyler Graff gets into the back of Ronnie Osmer. Ronnie's car just veers to the left, like he kind of swiped the back bumper of his car, kind of thing, and hit the right rear of Eric Roberts and the right front of Ronald McManus, and got Ronnie Osmer's car got stuck in the wall. That was just another case of trying to bump draft and forgetting that it doesn't work in these cars.
Yeah, I might call that a resident.
Honestly, I would. I mean, that's your call, but it's something these guys should know. It's 11. We're in the 12th race of this season. You'd figure they'd know these cars don't bump draft, especially after last week. How did Alex lose the lead?
He's just come onto the radio and said he's got damage, so...
I don't see any damage to his car. His car is perfectly fine. No pod damage. Wings are still intact. But that was a really, really good run. We almost got to the halfway mark with only one caution. That would have been amazing. For those just joining us, we are here at Iowa for our Icebreaker Pro Mazda Series. We had a caution at the beginning of the race and honestly thought it was going to turn out to be a lot like Dover last week, but then we had this long green flag run and almost made it to halfway before we had our second caution, which is what we're under now, for some contact between the 77 and 55, which caused a 3-car pileup involving also the 78 and 28. Under the green flag pit stops, we had Chris Parkman in the lead, but when they came back out, he was a second back in 5th place once everything had cycled through, which, for those who are familiar with our main 2 series, is not something that happens to him very often, if ever at all.
No. But surprisingly, Johnny Antonucci and David Llewellyn are one. Well, David Llewellyn's in the lead and Johnny Antonucci's in second.
Yeah, this is why I'm confused, because neither of those drivers were up there. Well, David Llewellyn was, but Johnny Antonucci wasn't up there in that pack. So I'm wondering if we just missed yellow flag stops.
Possibly, because a few cars did go down.
Actually, yeah, that's what happened. David Llewellyn and Johnny Antonucci stayed out. whereas Alex Green and everyone on back except for Chadwick Pierce pit.
I'm thinking Partman must have had an issue on pit road then, because he's dropped way back down the field.
He's in 8th, yeah, so he lost one more spot. They were a 6-car field, so he's sitting at what would have been the sixth place, if not for the two guys in front.
Now.
And pace cars' lights are off. We are about to go back to racing as we will be hitting 59 laps to go when we go green. In the lead is David Llewellyn with John Antonucci in 2nd, Alex Green in 3rd, Mike Erder in 4th, and Ben Walton in 5th place to round out your top 5. It's amazing seeing Ben Walton up there in 5th. He did a pit start. That caution that happened at the beginning of the race helped him so much. I mean, he wouldn't be there right now if not for that first caution of the race. As pace car dives down, will David Llewellyn just floor it? And no, he's waiting.
Green flag.
He waited until the green flag fell, and that gives Alex the way to get onto the inside of Johnny Antonucci as they head down to turn 1.
Typical tactic of David Llewellyn. He always likes to hold him down on the restart, so that's nothing new for him, but good strategy either way. And Alex Green gets around Johnny Antonucci almost immediately after the green flag falls.
Yeah, and as we see, that is Ben Walton pushing Alex. And as you can see up on the screen, I have the graphic for the top 5 cars right now, so you can see just how close these guys are racing. Granted, they're only going, what is it, 150 or so?
Something like that. I mean,
140.
Ben Walton, he's up in the top 5.
Oh! Johnny Antonucci came down into Ben Walton, and then Mike Erder started to spin as well.
I was just about to say he's done an amazing job to get up where he was because he pit started.
And Johnny Antonucci came down into him coming off of turn 4, and he just went sideways into the grass. But we stay green. As we see David Llewellyn, he's going to have to pit in about 8-9 laps. As will Johnny Antonucci, which sucks for Antonucci because he's on the outside. And look who is coming up there in the 3rd lane.
Hartman's back again.
He was up there. Well, he was. As you see Mike Erder limping it around. Don't know what caused him to spin. I didn't see any contact with him. As we have now Nate Dean entering 3rd place on the inside of Johnny Antonucci there. As Johnny seems to have lost all of his momentum after that contact with...
yeah, I think he's carrying damage from that contact.
Yeah, we can't see any, but I mean it is virtual, so the damage might just not be there on my end.
Might be internally?
It could be, yeah, it definitely could be. As we see him almost come down into Nate Dean there as well, coming off turn 4, so he's just driving a little close, and I'm not sure if you were watching it, but Nate Dean even reacted, expecting Johnny to come down, and flinched down to the apron for a quick second, knowing that Johnny comes down that track just a little bit further.
I just had to throw out a warning then to people dropping down to the apron.
It looks like you might need to throw another one. But as we see, David's actually getting a little bit of a gap somehow on Alex Green. I don't know how he's doing that because the draft is supposed to keep these cars together, and there's a yellow flag. Who is the wreck?
Layla Wilson.
As we see her going down into the corner, Mike Whitaker gets a little bit tight into the corner, and she just gets makes contact with him. I think because she had such a big run on the outside, Mike Whitaker didn't know she was coming, and then he was already moving up the track, and she came through, and they just side by side. That is one where it would be a racing incident, on my belief.
I'm inclined to agree with you there.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you watch it from the chase on her, she just is flying up through there, and he had no time to react to his spotter saying, outside. As we see almost everybody pit except for Chris Parkman and Ethan Glenn, which puts Parkman back out in the lead. Honestly, I think TV3 is giving us some of the best angles because it's just 2 cameras. but I'll put it back on broadcast because this one gives us some pretty good ones too. Someone just blew up.
Yeah, I heard that.
I saw it. You just see that gray puff of smoke and then nothing, where the engine just gives out.
It was Wilson.
Yeah, then she didn't get down to pit road in time to fix the damage.
Alex Green has been caught speeding on pit road. He's got an
Ouch.
EOL.
As we see Ronnie dive down on the pit road, I hope. Oh, he's 5 laps down. That's right.
Yeah, Alex Green has been caught speeding on pit road. He's got to go to the back.
Up to this point in the race, there is only one driver who has not been on pit road twice. Chadwick Pierce II, who is in 5th place, he's been on pit road 1 time. He's currently on his run for 28 laps. If I was him, I would have pit this time, to be honest, because you're on the lead lap now. So I would go ahead, get to pit road, and then just, I mean, yeah, you're starting at the back where there's been a lot of trouble. But you're going to have fresh tires and fuel.
Alex Green's misdemeanor is now promoted Parkman back to the front.
Well, Alex would have, I mean, it put Parkman back at the front anyway, because him, Parkman, Glenn, Baker, Glenn, and Pierce all stayed out this time, which honestly for Pierce might be a bad call, because he's been out there now for 28, about to be 29 laps on this fuel tank. Also, might want to pass along word if you didn't see it in chat. Cody Eldred says, "Go Big Chief."
Alex said it's Cody's fault that he sped in pit road.
You hear that, Cody? You're getting blamed from Big Chief for the speeding penalty. You've been tampering with his dials. I just want to point out, he just got caught speeding and he uses the pit limiter. Tuesday night, I was going 8 over the speed limit and didn't get caught for speeding because I don't use a limiter, and so I was able to slow myself down enough to counter it. I gained 2 spots on that round of pit stops too.
I mean, yeah, if you can work it right, I'm pretty sure a pit limiter wouldn't be needed. But some people obviously feel more comfortable using them, so they just do it anyway.
By the way, please, if you could, verify this for me. I want to make sure it's not my broadcast just acting kind of weird. Get on rear chase for Ethan Glenn and tell me if you see any damage on his wing. He's in 2nd place.
No, but it has front wing damage.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, the front wing. The left front wing is just all kind of messed up. If anything, it might help the car turn a little bit, to be honest with these things. Because I know at one track, I can't remember what it was in the previous season, I was in the practice and I bumped the outside wall and the car handled it like a dream, and I kept telling them, don't repair it, don't repair it, don't repair it. Because I ran about 0.3 of a second faster over the run.
Flag is out.
And there we go, green flag. Chris Parman goes, and they check up on that outside. Good job avoiding that. Last week, that would have been a 4 or 5 car pileup. As we're on board with Ethan Glenn here, we're focusing on him. And who is that coming off pit road? Is that Layla Wilson?
I'm just reviewing that incident.
It was just a checkup where Ethan Glenn didn't get going right off the bat, and so they just kind of checked up from him not going. They're basically trying to go when he hadn't gone yet. What caused issues on Tuesday night and Sunday night, pretty much. As we see an awesome look from the back of Ethan Glenn's car as we go down the back straightaway towards who is that in the 17? Bo Glenn, his father, and Mike Whitaker back there. As he is on the outside and he is falling fast as Mike Hoop Baker is behind Chris Parman, pushing him along, as they actually have a little bit of a gap of 0.3 of a second right now.
Caution is out.
And we have a caution. It involves
And another guy.
versus Katina.
as he is in the 6th place on the inside line as we go through the straightaway front stretch here. We go down into turn 1, and he goes up in the track into Mike Whitaker, and it causes his car to spin. That's probably netcode that worked out in favor of Mike Whitaker, because if that was a real race, his car would have been messed up as well as about half the fields. So that worked out for everybody except for Scatina, who spun like a top. That was really weird how he wrecked there. But he definitely made bounding box contact with Mike Whitaker because he came up the track into where Whitaker was.
Yeah, it was the number 11 that was involved in the restart contact with Mike Whitaker. So he already had rear wing damage, which was making him push up the track already. So I'm guessing, yeah, he should have gone and got that fixed. To be fair, as Jason Colburn gets a lucky dog.
That's good for him. And then he was one of the ones that got spun out earlier, right?
I think he got caught a lap down by the green flag pit stops.
Well, good news. There is probably, the way these guys have been running, now it is possible, but there's almost no way. Mathematically, it's still possible, but I don't think we will see as many laps or many percentage of laps under yellow as we did last Thursday night, which is amazing. We had 1 caution in the first 50 laps, and we've had 3 since.
Yeah, it's only the 4th caution, which is amazing.
Yeah, but it's 3 in the last 20 laps.
We got Chadwick Pierce coming into pit road, followed by Bo Glenn.
I am impressed that Chadwick Pierce has only pitted twice in 68 laps.
I'm impressed with Chadwick Pierce. Period. That's the highest he's been all season.
Well, I'm not aware of that because I've only been here for 2 weeks. So I came in right at the right time, and I have a logo I have to fix on this. This lanyard is not supposed to have the NASCAR on Fox logo on it. I thought I edited all those away. It has our logos down at the bottom, but it has the NASCAR on Fox logo still at the top.
Yeah, I see that. I'm actually watching the broadcast as well, and I can see it.
So a race summary for those who want to know: we have completed 68 laps, coming to 69 right now. 42 left, 41 when we hit the line, with 6 lead changes and 4 cautions for right now 18 laps and at least 20. Have you gotten the 2 to go call yet?
We're just coming to lap 70 actually.
Yeah, but 69 laps completed.
Yeah.
Is that the 2 to go call?
Yes, it was.
Alright, so we will be going green with 39 laps to go. After last week, I didn't think we were going to see this clean of a race, but everybody in the 1 hour practice before the race, before the official session opened up, was all just saying, man, this race is going to be like, I think it was Mr. Hoop Baker, who's sitting in 2nd place, said this, it's going to be like Dover on steroids for the cautions. And honestly, it hasn't been. We've had 3 cautions in the last 20 laps, but it's been relatively calm. These guys have had a lot more patience. Granted, we have about 4 or 5 of the drivers from last week not here.
Yeah, a marked improvement from last week.
And it's, especially considering it's still a fairly large field. This is still a larger field than we finished the last, I think, 4 or 5 races in the RO5 series and DW12 series with last season, which for them.
No cars have disconnected. Nobody's disconnected yet, so all 22 cars are still running, which is unbelievable at this point of the race.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering when most people drop 8 laps back, like Layla Wilson has, they typically get a little down. Especially when there's been a lack of cautions in this race, unlike last week, they would just sit out and they're like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to do this because it's not an official race. You're not fighting for I rating. You're not fighting for the license points. You're just fighting for points, and if you're already dead last and you're not getting the breaks you need with cautions and wave rounds, I mean, most people would just sit out at that point. As we are about to go green here with brain fart. 39 laps to go. So here we go. We have Chris Parkman on the inside with My thing's messed up. Wow, he jumped that one for the first time.
Yeah, he left Hoot standing.
And Ethan Glenn and David Llewellyn are just going to rocket past Mr. Hoot Baker. Wow, Boot. And just leave him in the... Man, I am just all fumbling all over the place. Nate Dean is even going to take 4th place away from Baker before we get around the track here. And it doesn't look like that speeding penalty has hurt Alex at all, because he just took over 5th place.
Yeah.
And he goes to the outside. He's going to go up there with Llewellyn. He's going to force it 3 wide as they go into 3 and 4. He had a huge run going down the back straightaway. He hops back in line in between Llewellyn and Baker, but he's going to kind of keep peeking out there. He doesn't want to rest behind someone. He wants to keep going. As we see the periodic every 10 laps, 1 blink by both of the Glens. And there goes Alex losing all of his momentum now on the outside that he had, almost coming down into a car, but then Spotter says they're still there.
Everybody's bunched together like a swarm of angry bees again.
And as I said in practice, and so everyone can hear if they didn't hear that part, they sound like a swarm of angry bees if you listen to these things going around.
They're 3 wide in the mid-pack. 2 lanes are 3 wide. Oh, Alex nearly came down on Hoot Baker. Oh, and there he goes. Oh, no.
Save. How was your car?
I like how I'm getting spotter calls even though I'm not on the track. I actually was not looking at that. I was getting ready to do a ride along with Mike Whitaker. As they're 3 wide going through 1 and 2. 3 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide, and somebody came up into his left rear there and just...
That was David Bowden.
And spun Alex like a top. Goodyear's not able to stay on the ground there. The good news, he was able to limp it back to pit road. He's actually driving it with the wheels turned about 30 degrees to the right. And he's... Whoa, hold it, Alex. He's struggling to get it down pit road here. He's about to hit that inside wall. As y'all are going to get to see my lollipop man as Alex pulls into his pit stop. As he will fall a lap down, but he didn't take fuel, so he gets a quick fix. But he's not going to be able to beat the pace car, so he's going to have to wait. He will be a lap down.
But Ethan Glenn taken over at the point now after Partman pits, so...
Alex should have stopped. He's going to get dinged for unsafe pit exit there. He exited a closed pit. Does he know he did that?
Yeah, I cleared it for him because I'm feeling generous today.
Yeah, I knew exactly when he came out. I was like, no, Alex, no.
Yeah, I'm feeling generous today. I cleared it for him.
That's still that's just an EOL though, isn't it?
No, he got a full black flag.
Oh, that's a full black flag for doing that.
Yeah.
Did not know. Did he just block Tyler from getting into the pits?
No.
Because I didn't know. It looked like Tyler.
He's trying to let people past him because he's a lap down as well, so he's been put to the back of the field.
Well, I think he also got an EOL because of he entered a closed pits. What would have been closed for him.
That might be why as well.
Because you don't get the EOL as a lap car until 2 to green. But his car's all fixed up, and we're going to hop back up to the leaders. But for this restart, let's hop on board the 24 of Tyler Vickery. And we'll put the drop down up here. I know he's back here in 6th, but we're going to get us a nice long view. Hopefully this is going to be the 1 to green. No, so we have a few more laps of pacing here as the lights stay on the pace car. And as you can see, they are pacing at about 50 miles an hour. One of the tricks I've learned is because these open wheel cars are paddle shifters, and you can't shift into neutral unless you're on pit road, which I still haven't figured completely out, is I will put it up in the highest gear and clutch it. Like have my clutch halfway down so that I'll hit my accelerator and it'll lift the clutch out enough for me to gain speed back up, but I'm still keeping the RPMs low.
Also,
Pretty neat.
It's a good way to save fuel, actually.
That's actually why I was mentioning it, is because of the low RPMs.
It is, yeah, it is a very good way to save fuel. I mean, a lot of racers do that on road courses as well, just to save fuel.
One thing you might notice, like under green, we're not allowed to go below the yellow, but I noticed a lot during like cautions. Like I'll sometimes on the straightaways, I won't do it in the corners because it's dangerous hitting those bankings. But I'll dip down below the line just to under caution. So one, I don't hit the car in front of me, and I don't want to be on the outside. And as we hit one to green, and also so that it's a shorter way around the track. So not only am I saving it with lower RPMs, but I'm also taking a shorter way around.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the few times where that no below the yellow doesn't apply, because we're not actually racing at that point.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I seem a bit distracted tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am doing race control whilst I'm in the booth with Forrest. So yeah, I got a lot to look at.
Which is why I'm still talking a whole lot, and I apologize if my throat, if I'm starting to sound a little off. My throat is getting dry, as we are going to go green with 29 laps to go. Anybody who pit on this caution will be able to make it to the end.
Green
With
flag.
one more caution, I should say.
And Ethan actually held him down, which is good strategy.
Yeah, and you can listen to Tyler getting up into the gears and shifting. You'll eventually get into 6th gear in these cars. You can stay in 5th for a really long time, but you will eventually get to 6th as he goes down to the inside to get behind Ben Walton, but then jumps back to the outside.
Good to see Ben Walton bounce back so quickly after being spun out on the last run.
Yeah, it is really nice. And look at David Llewellyn. He's battling Ethan Glenn for the lead, with Mr. Hoot Baker bumping him going through the straightaway. They're not literal bumping, of course. Nate Dean running a little tight there, and I can hear a little bit of a slide in Vickery's tires as he goes through 1 and 2. As we have him go to he's going to force it 3 wide as we go through 3 and 4, but then he gets behind Baker. Looks like he was going to look to the inside. Thanks other of it, and gets in line behind him as we head down to 1 and 2. We come off the corner, you can kind of see, oh, there's a little bump. You probably shouldn't do that, Tyler, as he gives a bump to Hoot Baker, and he probably got an X from that, but we don't award for clean races here, I don't believe, in this series, I don't believe.
No, we don't.
Yeah, I think it's just standard iRacing bonus points for this series. As we go into 3 and 4, and a pretty tight race at David Llewellyn.
Making a run through the middle.
David Llewellyn was actually right there even with Ethan for a couple laps, but then because Hoot and Tyler fell back a little bit, he lost all that momentum, and now he's slipping backwards.
Yeah. Jason Colburn getting shuffled back as well, which is unfortunate for him, but
As we switch back, and we switch back to the main camera, and the first glimpse we get is looking down the backstretch as these guys fan out 2 and 3 wide going down the backstretch.
oh yeah, they're completely fanned out.
As we're on focus with Ben Walton, so when you see the car cameras, it's going to be from his car. As you can see the Angry Bird helmet that Tyler Vickery is running. You can see Ronnie Osmer and Chris Parkman back up here. Is Alex Green forcing it 3 wide going down into turn 3 behind Chris Parkman. That was not Alex Green, I apologize. Oh wait, yeah, it was. He's just a lap down, that's right. So Alex is up there battling with him. He just needs a caution to come out, and that was neat. What just happened? We have is Ben Walton sputtering?
Ethan Glenn's around.
Oh, that's why everybody slowed up. We were on the rear bumper of Ben Walton when that happened. And David Llewellyn, Nate Dean, Mike Baker, and Ben Walton and Bo Glenn all have to. There's a lot of people that need to pit, and they're about 28, 29 laps on their tires. Right now, we're on board with Tyler Graff, as he has only 9 laps on his stint. He can, with one caution, Tyler Graff can make it to the end. As next time by, we'll be at 20 to go. This race has been significantly better than last week's, and I'm really proud to say that this has shown that these guys aren't all a wreckfest.
Baker's out of fuel.
He ran out?
Yeah, he ran out.
Oh yeah, he's gone now.
He ran out just before turn 1.
Yeah, he was at 39 laps on that fuel stint. So that makes sense. He's at 40 right now as he gets to pit road. So he was bound to run out at some point. I don't think he was paying attention to his fuel and didn't know he was that low.
Yeah, he started sputtering just as he crossed the line. Unfortunate for Baker because he was having a really good run tonight.
Yeah, and as we're running around here, we're at 19 to go. If we have a caution, a lot of people, as I keep saying, and there it is.
Oh, no,
So,
Jason Colvin in there.
How are you doing, bud?
well, let's look at some of the silver lining in that while I get everything set up for the review on that. So that helps out Alex Green, puts him back in the lead lap, and anybody like Chris Parkman, Tyler Graff, David Bowden, Mike Whitaker, who pit that last caution, they're going to be good to go here. So we see Jason Colburn riding behind Mike Whitaker as we go into 1 and 2, and just waiting to see what's going to happen. And he just suddenly goes up to the middle lane, not thinking anybody was there, and gets into Bob Lacavara. He just comes right up in front of him. It's like he was called clear, but there was obviously someone there. Yeah, because he just suddenly comes up. I don't know what happened on that one. It looks almost like what we would see in the IRO5s or the DW12s when they hit the apron at most of the tracks, where the car you hit the apron, it gets loose, and so you have to catch it, and so you end up drifting up the track a little bit. But with these cars, it doesn't do that at this track.
Yeah, he said because he's got an active spotter, he's actually got a human spotter. Told him he was clear to go high, but he wasn't. So
okay. See, I haven't.
The reason for it.
I haven't had a human spotter for about 4 or 5 months, so I forgot what it's like to have a human spotter. Actually, it's been longer than that. It's been, oh god, since before the NIS season started. Actually,
Partman back to the point. So
with Tyler Graff behind him, those two drivers will be good to the end because of this one caution. And you see that what Tyler's doing is exactly what I was talking about. What I do under yellow, when I'm doing the neutral thing too, I always do what he's doing. I get down there on the flat surface so that it's not pulling the fuel away from the intake. Yeah. Even though on these cars, I don't think it's on the right. I think it's in the middle, but still, it helps. It's amazing how they made it just realistic enough that actually matters. iRacing did that well that even being on a bank surface will cut your fuel intake pretty badly if you're getting close. I found that out in the Xfinity cars, I think, actually.
So Vincent Scatina is not disconnected, but it looks like he has parked it because he's 21 laps down.
Yeah, he's showing up as gray. He's not on the track. He's on pit. He's not even actually on pit road either. Because with ATVO, they would gray out if they're not in the car. He's not in the car. Even if you're on pit road, it still shows you as the same color as everybody else, so you know who's on the track and who's not.
I'm thinking he may have used up all of his fast repairs then.
Yeah, he's just wanting to watch the rest of the race unfold. Because have they made the 2 to go call? I know it's about a 5-lap caution. I don't know how many laps we were under while I was doing the review. That was?
Yeah, it's just gone to green now.
Okay, so we will be going green with 13 laps to go? Yeah, 13 laps to go. which is going to be pretty neat. We will have Chris Parkman, Tyler Graff, Bo Glenn, who, by the way, is at 27 laps and most likely won't make it to the end because he'll have to go 40 laps. David Bowden, Mike Whitaker, Chadwick Pierce, second. David Llewellyn, Nate Dean, Ben Walton, and Alex Green as your top 10. Chadwick Pierce and Bo Glenn most likely will not be able to make it to the end. Chris Parkman, Tyler Graff, David Bowden, Mike Whitaker, they all should be able to. They're at 16 to 18 laps on their fuel run, and this caution gives them enough to make it to the end. Gives them enough stretch to make it to the end because they only needed a few laps, and 5 laps under yellow, that's certainly going to give you enough to make it.
But Tyler Graff has got to drive his backside off now to stop Parkman from sweeping the week. Because obviously we don't have a DW12 race this Sunday, so this will be if he wins this, he will have swept the week. So,
which I think will be a first for having someone sweep a main series and the Mazda. We've never had that. We've had an IRO5 and DW12, but never one of the IRO5s or DW12 and then. I don't think he might have done it in the DW12 then, because he's the king of the DW12 series for us. Whereas Chris Parkman is the one for the IRO5s. And for those just tuning in, as we're about to go green here with 13 laps to go, Chris Parkman's in the lead. We had a pretty good start for the first 50 laps. We had 1 caution. Here we go. As Chris Parkman gets going, Tyler Graff gets going too. He's not going to be able to keep with Parkman, but with these cars, he will be sucked right back up to that back bumper as they go through 1 and 2. And we're going to put the focus on Bo Glenn, so it kind of focuses on the middle of the pack since he's in 3rd place as we see them all back there. Eventually these cars will get just sucked back up to each other, and someone was sliding through the corner. You could hear it on the broadcast. As we head down into 1 and 2 now, and was that Tyler that was blinking a little bit there? As we hop on board with Bo Glenn here, we're on his front bumper as they head down into 3 and 4, and we see the 23 back there, and you can just like look at, ignore the tires twitching. That's just connection. That 23 is getting awfully close. That would make me nervous, knowing that these cars don't like getting bumped. As we are at 11 to go, for those curious, 5 laps or 6 laps or less, and we will not have a restart if a caution comes out. So if it's going to happen, it has to happen with 7 or more laps left in the race, as we hit 10 to go at the line this time by, with Bo Glenn on the outside with David Bowden pushing him, and Tyler Graff is pushing Chris Parkman on the inside.
They've got to start making their moves very soon because the laps are getting very, very close to the end now.
And we don't want them making too desperate moves because we don't want it to finish under caution, but they know that once it hits a certain point, you have to make a move, or else if a caution comes out, you've missed your chance because we finish on together. There's no green, white checkers. Here we go. They're going through 1 and 2. It's nice. Wow, Tyler just got away with a bump on Chris Parkman there as the camera switched to his nose. We saw it in the rear axle of Chris Parkman's car coming off of turn 2. That was amazing. That camera angle is awesome. As we have the inside line are all the 4 cars on the inside line right now. Chris Parkman, Tyler Graff, Mike Whitaker, and David Llewellyn. If you wanted to pick 4 names from our Big 2 series and put them in here and have them show these guys how it's done, those are 4 of the names you would choose right there.
Almost definitely, yeah. They're definitely showing the young gunners how it's done, but...
Well, you have Chris Parkman, who dominated the IRO5 regular season before he had to step out for personal reasons. Tyler Graff, who won the IRO5 Series championship. And then Mike Whitaker, who won the DW12 championship. As Tyler Graff forces Bo Glenn and David Bowden out of the way to get to the outside of Chris Parkman now, as we just hit 6 laps to go as he hops back in behind Chris Parkman here as we go down to turn 1. He peeks out again.
Bo Glenn is round.
And the caution flag comes out. That is most likely the race because they'll be coming to 5 to go. And it's a 5-lap caution flag pace. We will not have a restart. Chris Parkman's going to take the win here with Tyler Graff in 2nd, Mike Whitaker in 3rd, David Llewellyn in 4th, Tyler Lugo Vickery in 5th. So we just had 4 of our top 5 as people who've been in the league since at least the first season, even if not full-time the whole time. And as a comparison for everybody to see, last week it was a 125 lap race. We had a 61 lap set of cautions, and oh no, don't tell me that's who that is on the outside. Is that who I think it is in the outside wall in 3 and 4?
I'm not live right now. I was reviewing the incident.
I didn't want to watch it. I mean,
that
because
incident with Bo Glenn, that was a huge netcode that happened.
he's been having connection issues all night, though.
And there was a secondary incident involving David Bowden and Alex Green.
Yeah, that was Alex then. Okay, yeah. They were passing Alex. I was like, oh no, because I saw the orange and black. He was so strong. If he's going to win a race, it's going to be at a track like this where it's just floor it and hope for the best. I mean, because he won Talladega, and that's all that race is just floor it and hope for the best. But as you can see, last week we had 61 of 125 laps under caution, which that's just shy of 50%. That's about 49 and some change. Tonight, 110 laps. We are going to finish with 36 caution laps. Incredible improvement over last week.
Very much so.
Props to these guys for being a lot better. Granted, we had one caution in the first 50 laps, but still, having 6 cautions in the final 60, not that bad, considering last week was pretty bad. Yeah, and they didn't hit 2 to go, did they?
No, I don't think they did that.
Yeah, because it was 6 to go, so they would have hit the caution flag at 5 to go, and it's less than a mile track. And for that, on iRacing, it's always a 5-lap caution, even if nobody pits. So this is most likely going to be the end of it, unless by some miracle the game decides to put it at 1 to green when we have to start finish line this time by.
I don't think it will. So that will mean Chris Parkman will have swept the week this week. So amazing form, and amazing for Parkman to come back and be as dominant as he is, like he was last season.
Well, he wasn't as dominant in this race as he was Tuesday night, though. Tuesday night he led 111 of 134 laps. Tonight he didn't lead that many, but that's because he had something happened on pit road that made him take a little bit longer and cost him some spots for a while. But 9 lead changes tonight, 7 cautions for what will be 36 laps. An amazing one. And looking at the top 10, here we go, going from 6th. Actually, it looks like Nate Dean got 5th, not Tyler Vickery. It switched him around. So 5th is actually Nate Dean, 6th is Tyler Vickery, 7th is Ben Walton, 8th is Chadwick Pierce, the 2nd, 9th is Robert Lacavara, and 10th is Eric Roberts. There are quite a bit of new guys in there, and I guess not really new at this point because we're 2.5 months into this season, and some of them are from last season as well and just haven't moved up yet. But this looks like the old Busch Series standings before they started making the rules on how many races you could run. You'd have them run at the same track as the Cup guys, and you'd have like 20 Cup drivers in the 43 car field, and they'd fill out the top 10. But then you look at some of these guys in here. Nate Dean's a part-time driver for NLR in the big cars, and he's sitting 5th.
Dean's actually still down here. He hasn't been promoted yet because NLR actually have a full roster. They can't promote
Nate Dean?
Yeah.
He's a part-timer. He's their part-time driver, yeah. He's their part-time.
He race controls on Tuesday, so I'm guessing he's part-time on Sundays.
Yeah, he runs part-time Sundays. Or at least I thought he did. Or maybe I just thinking because of the fact he's there on Tuesdays. But he's part of NLR. He's just not a full-time. And they're not actually full anymore because Alex Green backed out, remember? So they actually have an open slot now. But then Ben Walton, Chadwick Pierce, and Eric Roberts, they're not running in the big series. They have the option to. At least I know Chadwick Pierce does, and I know Eric Roberts does, because they've been in this series since it started, since you told me about Chadwick Pierce was too. Ben Walton, I don't know if he's been here since before this series, but the way I've seen him racing, if he doesn't choose to move up this year, I know he'll probably be told he can before this season ends if he hasn't already. And there goes the fireworks for Chris Parkman winning. We didn't do interviews last week because my throat was so dry. Do we have everybody in here to do it this week? We would need Chris Parkman, Tyler Graff, and Mike Whitaker. I know Tyler and Whitaker are in here.
Hartman's not here, but we can grab Tyler if you want.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and grab him? And if you could, if you're not doing any race control duties, if you could do the interview, my throat is feeling incredibly dry. I don't know how much longer I can talk.
User was moved to your channel.
Tyler, Sam in the booth, you got me? Tyler Graff.
Hey!
Sam in the booth, you got me?
I do. Sorry, I had a different chat up as well.
Great late run at the end of the race there. You were pushing the living daylights out of Chris Hartman at the end there. Do you think you were going to get him if the caution didn't come out?
I told myself I had to be, a car length back and make him move to his outside with 5 to go, and I did it, and I got to his outside, and I was at his side pod, and the caution came out, so... but yeah, I just had to keep pushing him, because I had to keep the guys on the outside line off of me so I could move up when I got the run. It was kind of like trying to block 2 lines while still staying in distance of the leader, and it's tough.
Oh yeah, I can imagine it's tough. I mean, that outside line wasn't working very well for anybody out there, but
yeah. And block's the wrong word. It's more like use the draft to slow them down a little bit, and yeah, it was tough though. They get ahead of steam exiting the corner, but entering the corner is where they'd lose it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't for the one to try. I mean, I saw a lot of people trying on the outside, but it wasn't really working. I mean, even Partman was struggling on the outside for a good part, but they were giving it a good go, and but it was good close racing out there. I mean, everybody seemed to have fun out there, but big improvement on last week. I mean, last week we had a lot of cautions, but tonight it just seemed a lot better. How did it feel out there in the car?
Oh, it was pretty good. The inside line, if you were 2 or 3 cars behind, it was basically blind, so you had to almost enter the corner with your front tire on the apron or your car up half a lane. So I think that killed the outside line too when everyone was coming up a little bit. But I was able to get the car back from 2 laps down and stay out of wrecks, and the car felt fantastic. So there's nothing to complain about there. The switchman setup did pretty good.
Okay, cool. Well, congratulations for finishing second. I mean, I know obviously it's not for points; it's just for fun. But I'm pretty sure you're happy with where you finished today. I'll let you get back.
Coming 1 short sucks, but hey, it's just for fun, and I think the Pro Mazda guys got a good points net as well. So.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
we got Nate in 5th.
Yeah. Just want to clear something up. It's because me and Sparks were talking about it a minute ago. Is Nate up in the big cars now, or is he still in the Pro Mazdas?
Nate has as of right now, he is not wanting to run big cars.
Oh, he just wants to stay in the little cars right for now.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Tyler Graff, good result tonight. Congratulations on finishing second. We'll let you get back up to main gate where everybody else seems to have gone. We'll see you in a couple of weeks at Las Vegas.
Yeah, hopefully I'm able to make it. Thanks.
User was moved out of your channel.
Well, it seems like we're going to have only one person to interview tonight, Forrest, seeing as Mike Whitaker has already left TeamSpeak, so that will be it for the interviews, I'm afraid.
Well, I guess we can...
We are at Thompson next week, I believe. It's like a mini Martinsville, isn't it? So. See you later.